Hello everyone, here I am with a dear friend, Barbara. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of mental health. Why you should go to therapy, why people don't go to therapy, talk about the stigma. We want to break that down for you because we think therapy is for everyone. So I'm going to talk to Barbara today and we're just going to kind of give you some facts, some tips, and everything that you need to know about therapy. Barbara is actually a clinical licensed social worker here, and so just take a few minutes to hear what we have to say and shed some light.
Thanks,
Hey,
Jen. I'm
Mama.
so excited. I'm really happy to talk about this topic, guys, because it is so important and so understated sometimes, and we're just really trying to break those barriers. So.
Yeah, of course. So first we want to go into just why people don't attend therapy.
Yeah, I think when it comes to people not attending therapy, we see things like, well, that would mean that, I'm in a crisis, or that would mean that I'm like not doing good, or that I just really, really need help, and like I don't want to seek help because reaching out is hard and being vulnerable is hard, and so I just
100%.
don't want to do that, and I can manage it on my own. I can take care of it on my own. I've been doing it, for a while on my own. I can do it. I can take care of it. And so we hear those on and on again. And Jen, I don't know, you're also in the mental health profession. So what are some things you've heard too? Like,
yeah, I think that
similar,
I
right?
really want to address how I can handle it on my own. And
Yes.
oftentimes when we say that time and time again throughout years, months, just a continuous spectrum, we then realize we can't. And you're in that stage where you're just like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I'm at my breaking point. Like, this is like the downfall. What do I do? And so what we want to address is not getting to that stage, not getting all the way down and then feeling like I'm drowning. Because it's so much harder to get yourself out. Yeah. It's almost 10 times harder to then say, like, I do need help. I do need to talk to someone.
Yeah, and it's like, why wait until you're at that point to seek help when you've got a team of people that really want to be there for you? Yes. You've got a team of Jen, you got a team of me, you got a team of all these mental health professionals, and like your family members, they all want you to take care of yourself too. Like putting on, we're driven by connection. I think that it's so important to say we're driven by connection. The people that I see aging successfully, the people that I see have the highest quality of life are people who do surround themselves with support. And I think support is seen in that negative light, like, oh, that means I can't handle it on my own. Oh, that means I failed at like carrying my own burdens and like dealing with my own problems. When really, like, that's exactly what we're here for. That's exactly what we're humans. We need to have a team of people on our corner. Since a civilization started. I mean, cavemen, right? Like we were on, and like people were in gathering groups, people were in hunting groups. It wasn't just like the lone wolf, because obviously we need connection, obviously we need support. So it's inherent in us. And I think when people try to carry it on their own, like you said, it gets to a point where it's a crisis. It gets to a point where it's like, you know what, I can't do it on my own. And to them, I want to say, you know what? You can't. That's the whole point. Yeah. That's the whole point. You can't do it on your own. Let's do it together. That's exactly what it is. Come to a place where, you can be vulnerable. You can be honest. You can be maybe things that you can't be somewhere else because you don't want to hurt people. You don't want to, maybe show a side of you that no one's seen. But yeah, I think it's important.
You mentioned the word crisis.
Yes.
I want to talk about that a little bit. I feel that oftentimes when we think about mental health, attending therapy, it's like, oh, I have to be in a crisis. And so I really want to just dig deeper into that and express that you don't have to be in a crisis to attend therapy.
Yes. And crises, just to kind of like define it a little bit further, is like when you're in this state of, hopelessness almost, or like that breaking point of, I can no longer bear it. I can't handle it anymore. I've let those kind of problems escalate to a point of imploding, and now you're feeling all of that in your body and your mind, and things just keep kind of piling up. And because you haven't been able to kind of unbox those things, or like declutter, those things become that crisis. And so I agree, Jen. I think it's so important to kind of get to a point where we're able to not get to the crisis, and kind of work on ourselves to be able to when faced with something that maybe is unknown or something, be able to take what we get from therapy and be like, I know how to handle this.
100%.
I've got the tools, you know,
Yes.
I've got the tools to be able to declutter when I'm cluttering, you know?
Mm-hmm. So I think she mentioned two good things. I think that one, I want to kind of address, we can have an internal crisis, but there can be external factors that can also kind of
Become
take,
one.
yes. And so, for example, it could be like a car accident or losing our job or the death of a loved one. Those are things that are uncontrollable to us that can spiral us to need that extra assistance to learn how to cope.
Absolutely.
And learn to just kind of reacclimate into life without those situations happening. Another thing that you addressed that I want to kind of like focus a little bit more on is that when we're in a crisis, sometimes we tend to be silent. And silence is very powerful in a negative way.
Yes.
Because being silent means that you're not talking to anyone, you're not looking for help. Generally, you're not working on yourself, you don't have the tools and resources that you need, and you're not using them. So they could be there. You know, you may have the people who are willing to help you. You may have, you know, different groups, educational services, different outlets. But if you're not speaking, if you're not letting someone know that you need that assistance, you will stay in silent for a really long time.
Yeah, I definitely think silence, like you said, is very powerful in a negative way. Silence is almost like not having the courage to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is so difficult. And having the courage to be vulnerable is so important for you to let me know that you care for yourself, that you're worth it. You're worth taking care of yourself. You're worth processing what you're going through. And kind of back to those external factors that come in our lives, right? Like reasons why people go to therapy, which we were talking about, is, you know, life transitions. Hey, I just graduated college, right? I just graduated college. What do I do now? Like I'm in limbo. I really don't know what to do. I studied maybe business, and that can be applied in so many different areas. What do I do?
And so many people, whether it's graduating from high school, graduating from a community college, graduating from a university, a master's degree, a lot of people are going through that. You're not the only one. So it's really important to recognize that as well. Probably whatever you're going through, someone else has also experienced that as well, maybe in a different magnitude, but there's still common resources and individuals that can help you get through those transitions.
Absolutely. And I think therapy is a great place to explore that. Serious, I just can't emphasize it enough, guys. Therapy is the best way to kind of get through those things. And even like when we think about those life transitions, anything from like, you know, I was single and now I'm married, right? Like, hello, that's a great place to start with. Like, I'm unpacking, like, living with another human being. Like, I'm unpacking, like, maybe, you know, thinking about having a family. Like, those are things that you think about. And being in a relationship, too, like, you don't, maybe you're kind of trying to tread lightly with your significant other and saying, like, not that you're keeping things hidden, but like you're trying to be very mindful of them as well. And therapy is a place where you get to be mindful of you, where you get to be you and say, I'm being mindful of me because maybe I didn't want to say this in front of my husband or partner because I really don't want to like think that I'm offending them or like think that they have these thoughts.
And I think therapy is really great because if you are struggling with communication, for example, we can help you have tools and resources and even just practice that conversation. What does that look like? You know, role playing.
Role playing, girl, yes. Role playing is so powerful.
So if you don't know what role playing is, for example, if I am Barbara, let's say, and I have a boyfriend, and so Barbara as a therapist would then be role playing her boyfriend, and I would say like, this is what I'm struggling talking to him about. Like, can we practice this? And we do that in therapy, and a lot of people don't even know that.
I love it, and you get to like simulate it, and you really get to practice it. And it's like if something didn't sound right to you, you can be like, man, I know that he might take it this way. And then we process that. And then we're able to kind of get to a point where you're comfortable. And then you can take that out of there and say, now I am equipped to like talk to my husband or my boyfriend and say like, this is really what's going on with me. And it's just such a beautiful process. It's so beautiful, guys. And I think that If you've never been to therapy, it's the time now.
Yes, now
it's
is
the time. No matter what, it is the time to do it.
Yeah, and so I think this is a great segment talking to vulnerability. So we have said this word a few times already, and so I just want to explain what that is, what that means, why do we have it, and it kind of stimulates off of fear. So fear of opening yourself up to another individual or to the world, and just worried about what others are going to say, what are they going to think, how are they going to interpret that, and so oftentimes we're like, no, that's too scary, let's not do that, and so that's part of vulnerability. Being able to be authentically yourself and just open yourself up. And that is something that you do work on in therapy. If you feel that you're a more closed off person or you don't necessarily like to share, that therapy is a great place for someone who is trained, who is qualified to really help you gather that journey and like really open yourself up. And you want to open yourself up. Tell us some reasons why.
Absolutely. And Jen, just to re-emphasize,
Go
like
for it.
taking like that vulnerability definition, it's like with the fear and everything, taking that fear out and being like in a place where you can be honest with yourself, honest with somebody else, and sit with yourself and really be able to be like authentically you, and almost dispel that fear of like someone's gonna judge me. This therapy space, us professionals, we're here to be the space to not judge you. We're here to give you what's called like unconditional positive regard. So what that means is that no matter what you share, no matter, you know, what you're going through, we're going to hold you to the best positive light. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, because we know you're worth it. We know, you know, you're someone that's worth investing our time and investing kind of yourself in this process. So absolutely. And then back to your question about like, why do people kind of
Become vulnerable.
Yeah.
Why is it important?
Why is it important for people to become vulnerable? Oh my gosh. It takes courage, right? It's difficult. It's a difficult process. And even for us mental health professionals, it takes a process for us to be vulnerable to being able to kind of take that on. But why be vulnerable? Being vulnerable is a freeing feeling. It's freeing yourselves from those chains of like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worth it. I'm not loved. I'm not the best husband, wife, kid. I'm not the, you know, it's like releasing yourself.
A lot of negative self-talk can often build up through so many reasons in your life. It could be your childhood, it can be influences, it can be social media, it can just be things that you've heard time and time again that you start to believe. And so we're here to tell you that that's not true. And just work on confidence, having self-confidence within yourself.
Yes. And you know, why wouldn't you gift yourself the gift of vulnerability? Why wouldn't you gift yourself freeing yourself, unshackling yourself, taking away those really heavy burdens that you're carrying on your own? Why would you not do that with yourself? You know, why wouldn't you seek something? And like I keep saying, it's a gift. And people that come to therapy, I think it's so important to let you guys know, let everybody know that what you say to me is a gift. What you say to us is a gift, and we treat it as such. You give us this gift of vulnerability. You give us this gift of being your authentic self, and we take it with the utmost care, and we just appreciate it so much. So, you know, I definitely encourage you, keep being vulnerable, keep being open, free yourself. Lighten yourself, okay?
Something else that you mentioned, that they are giving us this gift, and I want them to know that we are also giving you a gift of confidentiality. So that is so important. I think that maybe that could stray people away from counseling. I don't want to tell you my secrets, because what are you going to go do with them? Actually, in the helping profession, we are, you know, ethically responsible not to disclose any information that we do receive in therapy. And so I think that's really important to know, because I think a lot of people don't know that either. Yeah,
it is so important, Jen. You are so smart and beautiful, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Super, super glad she brought it up, guys, because it is so true. Confidentiality is the most important thing, and we do talk about it from the very beginning session. Day one. Like, that's in our code of ethics. We need to address it. We need to make sure you guys know that there's so many, you know, privacy and confidentiality things that we need to keep in our practice. And so, you know, things like if I were to bump into you outside of therapy, I'm not gonna be like, oh, hey, our next session's next week.
Yes, yes.
See you there. I wouldn't do that. It's one of those things where, like, if you approach me, I'm happy to say hi, but it's not, you can't cross those lines. One of those things is defined by you. Like, your confidentiality is so important to us. There's no way we would do anything with that information. It's kept in our own space. That's exactly what, even laws are made to protect you from, protect us, protect the space that we create. Because how can we create the space of vulnerability and authenticity without having those protections for our clients?
And that's all part of our training, our education. Like, we learn about that, and that's drilled to make sure that you are safe.
Yeah. I mean, and years of training, right? Like, seriously. And like Jen said, okay, we discuss it day one of therapy, but we discuss it day one at school, okay? Like, since bachelor's degree until master's degree until license, you get all the confidentiality training you need.
And even each state has, rules and regulations that we need to follow and adhere by, too.
And we have to take exams for that. So we do have to pass exams for ethics, for laws, for things like that just really keep us grounded in our profession, keep us adhering to those laws. So
people who are in this profession really genuinely, wholeheartedly want to help you. We want you to come to us. We want you to go to therapy. We want you to know that it is an option for you. It's available to you. There's plenty of resources that you can use to help better yourself. It's never too late.
No, it is not ever too late. Okay, I see people younger, older, especially my older clients. I just want to say to you, it is not too late. Just because you didn't go when you were younger, just because you thought all these negative things about therapy when you were younger, doesn't mean that right now is not the time. Right now is the time. You have all these boxes that haven't been unpacked. Let's unpack them together. Let's get to a point where you can feel like you can be the best version of yourself, the best quality of life you can have for you. I mean, seriously, I can't think of any other thing to emphasize other than that we're here for you. We're part of your team. We're in your corner. We want you to be what you want to be. We're not trying to impose anything or fix you or, those kinds of negative words that come with, like, we're trying to, like, put a little bow on it and tie it up and say, you're all good to go. No, we want to help you get to where you want to be. It's us joining that journey of yours for a smidge of our time and kind of allowing you to get those tools to take it out into the world and do it. So I think it's so important to keep this kind of conversation going.
100%.
Yes.
And I also think that, mental health is a lifelong journey. So not only is our physical health, our mental health is just important. So just as people want to exercise or drink water or eat healthy, this is something else that we need to be 110% focused on.
Absolutely. I also think, Jen, when you talk about taking care of ourselves and all these things, it's so important to me to mention that therapy is carving out that intentional time.
Yes.
Because sometimes I feel,
It's
we
work.
don't commit to it, right? Until we have that separate time to do it. And therapy is literally you forcing yourself almost to take care of yourself. It's like carving out that hour and a half to be like, I'm going to be present and work on the things I want to work on with someone who truly wants to be there for me, someone who truly wants to work on my goals and is going to listen to me and appreciate me for who I am. And that is so important and understated. So
I like how you said carve out time. So mental health is not like, if I have 30 minutes at the end of my day before I go to bed, I'll do something that's self-care or self-help or something like that. No. We need to make sure that is scheduled early in time. It's not just like, if I get to it.
Yes.
Because that's, in itself, you may never get to it. And so that's what we talk about when you get down to that bottom level where you're just like, I don't know what else to do anymore.
Exactly. Intentionality is so important. Intentionality means doing things with a purpose, doing things with intention of doing them. So when you do make those pockets of time and create that time and say, and you respect that time, I think respecting time is so important. And it's a way to show that you're worth it. It's a way to show I respect myself, because when you carve out the time and you stick to it, you're following through. And that in itself, I mean, when people get to our therapy, we say, thank you for being here. The fact that you even came through that door, like,
the
thank
first
you.
thing that we say.
Thank you. You made it. You made it to the first time sitting down in front of me that already is a win
Yes.
because you carved out the time and you are showing me through your actions, right? Actions speak louder than words. So
100%.
you're showing me with your actions that you want it for yourself.
That you
is
matter to
beautiful.
yourself.
And that is so powerful.
Yes.
I just love it.
I think this is a really great conversation. We may need to, have another one of these. Because
Ongoing. This is an ongoing. It's a lot.
Is there any last minute words you want to share? What is something that you would want to leave, that last quote, sentence, anything that it is, before we end the segment?
Wow, putting me on the spot like that, Jen. So I think the last words or things I want to say is that I want you to know that people, all of us, myself included, are worth it. We go to therapy. I go to therapy. Go to therapy, okay? Like, I think that's the biggest message. Go to therapy because this is where you can be authentically you. This is where you can take away what you need to apply it and be a better father, husband, wife, daughter, person, just in general. And sometimes you want to do it, you can do it for yourself, you can do it for your family, but when it's most powerful is when you do it for yourself.
Yes.
Because you want to grow and be a better person and be just everything that you want to be, your purpose, fulfill what you think is your purpose. And even if you're in the space of like, I don't know what my purpose is, that's exactly what therapy's for. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to being a human being. Let us explore it.
I love it. Thank you so much,
Thank
Barbara,
you,
for being
Jen.
here with us today.
I love
And
it.
we just want to let you know that come to therapy.
Come to therapy, guys. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.